Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights. And I really wanna know, if I'll ever figure out where the road goes. Even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high. Even if the sky is falling down. Jumping from cliffs so high, trusting our wings to fly. Sometimes we're crashing down, but we get up and start from the ground. And I really wanna know, if I'll ever figure out where the road goes. Even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high. Even if the sky is falling down, even if the sky is falling down, yeah. The sky is falling down. Even if the sky is falling down, even if the sky is falling down, yeah. The sky is falling down.
Or stare into the unknown, 'cause you're a strong girl. You got this, I feel the fight in you. Strong girl, positive, you're gonna see this through. Like a straight up miracle, you're a force to behold. In the face of losing
if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high, even if the sky is falling down. Jumping from cliffs so high, trusting our wings to fly. Sometimes we're crashing down, but we get up and start from the ground. And I really wanna know, if I'll ever figure out where the road goes. Even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high, even if the sky is falling down. Even if the sky is falling down, yeah. The sky is falling down. Even if the sky is falling down, even if the sky is falling down, yeah. The sky is falling down.
Good morning. Happy Sunday. Reverend Derek here, and welcome to the Love is Greater Than Fear Spiritual Center. I'm so excited you could join us this morning for our Sunday morning talk and meditation. If you are watching one of our talks and meditations for the first time, I want to take a moment and tell you a little bit about the Love is Greater Than Fear Spiritual Center. We are a virtual community of like-minded spiritual people from all different types of backgrounds and faiths. And every Sunday we get together to have a spiritual conversation on a different topic, and also to have a meditation on that topic as well. So if you are somebody who is looking for more, if you're someone who is a spiritual student and you're looking for a community to connect with and conversations that are going to help keep you positive, help keep you spiritually grounded, and really set the tone for your week, then you're probably in the right spot. I personally am a student of a book called A Course in Miracles. I'm a big fan of Marianne Williamson, Louise Hay, Wayne Dyer, a lot of authors like that. So again, if you resonate with those authors, you're probably going to like what we have to talk about this morning. This morning, we will be talking about continuing our conversation on the spiritual journey, and with a talk called How to Save the World. Before we get into the talk, I do want to take a moment and remind you of our mission and vision statement. There we go. Vision is personal and planetary awakening. And our mission here at the Love is Greater Than Fear Center is to support awakening by living and teaching universal spiritual principles of love, peace, and joy. We do this by offering classes, workshops, and counseling that promotes the healing and transformation necessary for our personal and planetary awakening. You will find here at the Love is Greater Than Fear Spiritual Center that there is no doctrine, there is no dogma, there is no list of things you should or shouldn't do. Basically, we're making an inquiry into the nature of spirituality and our true essence together, and having conversations on that. So if you want to get more information about the Love is Greater Than Fear Center, you can head over to loveisgreaterthanfear.org. So and I should also say that over there, you'll find classes and information about upcoming events. And also be sure to like and comment on Facebook and YouTube, wherever you're watching this morning. And definitely be sure to share the sermon, the talk today, because there's probably someone on your timeline who needs some of the wisdom that we're going to be talking about today. So having said that, first thing I want to do is go ahead and go into our morning prayer. So if you feel comfortable, go ahead and close your eyes and let's take a moment and turn within. And so, dear God, we invite you into our minds and our hearts this morning. We invite you into that place where you already exist, that you may remind us of our true nature, remind us of who we are and why we are here. Dear God, that you will clear the path before us. Come into our minds, come into our hearts. And this morning, I bless everyone who shows up to listen to participate in this conversation. I bless them that whatever they need to hear, they hear. Whatever I need to say today is said. Anyone who needs to see this, sees this talk. Furthermore, I bless everyone who is getting together today to worship, celebrate the God of their understanding, whether they get together in a church, a mosque, a temple, a living room, wherever it is they're getting together to celebrate or worship. We bless them along their path, along their journey, knowing that there are millions, possibly billions of paths to God, but they all lead to the same place. And we say together, Amen. So thank you for being with us this morning. Hope you've got your cup of coffee. We're going to have a conversation today about how to save the world. So if you've been watching the talks the month of March, you know that we've been talking about the spiritual journey. And all year long, we've been talking about how to create a year of miracles. And I think that we can all probably agree with the things that have gone on the past few years, at least in the United States and all around the world, that part of having a miraculous life is also having miracles in the world all around us. We've got our own personal awakening that we have to do. That personal awakening is very much interconnected with the planetary awakening. So just to kind of recap what we've been talking about the past couple of weeks, I've been sharing my thoughts on the spiritual journey. What I've been sharing with you is not necessarily anything I've read in a book or any like awakening steps that I've come across. This is just what I've noticed from my own personal experience, from conversations with other people, and from my own clients. And what I've realized along the spiritual journey, as I've shared with you guys already this month, is like number one, the first sign that you're on your spiritual journey or that something is shifting within you typically is the realization that you are responsible for your life. I found for me personally, that's the day it all changed. That's the day it started, is when I realized that I was responsible for my life. And it was deeper than, like, obviously I'm responsible for the actions I take, but it was deeper than that. I am responsible for my life because of the thoughts I'm thinking, because of the energy I'm giving off to people, because of the words I'm saying, and again, also my actions and behaviors in the world. So all of that is constantly creating our experience. God has made us in his likeness and image, meaning that he has made us as love. And on top of making us as love, he has also blessed us with his same likenesses. And God is a creator. So we have the same purpose to be love and to create, but we have the choice to do all of that with love or do that with fear. It's up to us. And we've been talking about how, like that, along the spiritual journey, you realize that your only real free will is whether you will think, speak, and act with love, or if you will think, speak, and act without love, meaning fear. And so as we come across this is kind of like, for me, this was like a huge, like, this was like bricks falling on my head because I thought I was the victim of everything happening around me. And there was definitely a period of healing in that time. And if you've ever read the book, You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay, it's just such a powerful book, and realizing that your mind is powerful and you are responsible. And even though you may have created some awful things in your life in the past, right now is the present moment, and you can choose to think, speak, and act differently. And this is really empowering. And when you first go through this phase, it's you're using it to attract money, to attract lovers, to attract the right job, to attract whatever it might be in your life. Wherever you're not at peace, you're looking for these areas and trying to track like what it is you really, really want in those situations. What I found is that stuff is fun. It's great to know I'm responsible. It's empowering to know my thoughts have an impact on the world, on my personal life. But the more you're in that phase of the spiritual journey and awakening, the more you're in that phase of my mind is powerful. I can create whatever I want. And I'm noticing that the world all around me is very crazy. And I'm noticing and I'm realizing that I'm one with everything around me. And because I'm one with that, wherever I see pain in the world around me, that is my pain. That is my own suffering, because we are all one. Whatever is happening to one of us is happening to all of us. I like to think of us as cells in the body of God. Each one of us are a cell in the body of God. And if the body of God were to have an illness or a sickness, we need all cells on board. We need all cells doing what they need to be doing, and that is to be of a loving contribution to the whole synergetic system of the body of God. Um, so today, what we're talking about is how to save the world, right? So Love is Greater Than Fear Spiritual Center is all about personal and planetary awakening. And at some point along your path, and I'm assuming if you showed up here today and you've had, the same experiences we've all had the past 2 years, with things happening in the world with COVID and politics and all that, it was a very jarring experience. And it's like, wow, like how can I contribute to this? I was talking to my friend recently, and she was going on and on about how the world is so dark and it's so evil, and all these people are awful and all this awful stuff is happening. And on one hand, that's true, right? A lot of bad stuff does happen. We don't deny that. A lot of bad stuff does happen. But I asked her, I said, you seem really heated over this, so what are you doing to help save the world? What are you doing to help end war, to help end child starvation, to help whatever it is that you're the most stressed out about in the world of all those bad things? Like, what are you doing to give back? What are you doing to improve the situation? And she told me that she wasn't doing anything. So she was basically just sitting on these toxic thoughts about how bad things are and then not doing anything. Cynicism so often is an excuse just not to do anything. Deeply connected to fear. And it's really important that we realize, I heard Marianne Williamson say recently, well, it was an old talk that she was giving, but she was talking about how the world right now is like the Titanic, and we're nearing the iceberg, but it's not quite the 11th hour. We have a little bit of time. We do have a little bit of time before the world hits that iceberg and things get really bad. We have a little bit of time. We have this buffer time where we actually can be helpful and make some changes and be a positive impact in the world. And, even from like kind of like a selfish perspective, I like to be very focused on my own personal awakening, on my own life that I'm building for myself, right? Like I really want to build a year of miracles, have a fabulous life. And I can't do that. I mean, let me take that back. I can do that, but there's so much around us that impacts our own personal dream. And so it's so important to be aware of what's going on in your culture, your community, your state, and your country, and all around the world, and doing the best you can to help turn this ship around and help save the world. So I was thinking about this talk all week about how to save the world, and like how I wanted to talk about it and how I wanted to tell you guys your role in this situation. And I realized I wanted to tell it to you through a story. So I'm sure you're all familiar with the Disney film Sleeping Beauty. It's a 1956 film, the original Sleeping Beauty. It's a beautiful story. It's my favorite Disney film. Was Walt Disney's favorite film he ever did. Um, and I really like this story. I really like stories in general. I love the Disney stories. I love comic books. I love really good, positive movies. And I think the reason why movies and stuff like that are so popular, especially superhero films, is that they speak to something that subconsciously we remember. We deep down know that we are the hero on our own journey. And so when we see that in a film, when we see a film that teaches love, forgiveness, unity on some level, we really, really have a tendency to resonate with it. These stories are really powerful, and many of the stories that we love have been around for hundreds and thousands of years. They just get told over and over and over again because all of these great stories are really just um, expressions of what we deep down know to be true about ourselves, about our role in the world, and about the world. But back to Sleeping Beauty. So I'm sure you know the story. The king and queen, Sleeping Beauty's parents, they long for a child and they can't have one, and they're getting older and they're afraid they're never going to have a child. And then one day they are blessed, and the queen becomes pregnant. They have a beautiful daughter, and because they're just so excited, they thought this miracle would never happen. What do? They have a big party. They have a big christening event, and they invite everyone. They invite, no matter what your royal status is, they invited you to witness this beautiful day, the birth of their daughter, Aurora. Now, as you know, they invited everyone except for one person, and that was Maleficent. And Maleficent shows up just after two fairies had blessed Aurora with with beauty and blessed her with a beautiful voice and and musical talents. And right before they're getting ready to do their third blessing, before Merryweather is about to bless her, Maleficent shows up, upset that she was not invited to this christening of this newborn. But of course she wasn't invited, right? They just finally have had a child. Their miracle has come. Are you going to invite the mistress of all evil to hang out during this day? Absolutely not. Um, but she shows up and she's offended that she was uninvited. And so she decides that she's going to give the princess a gift as well. Her gift turns out to be a curse, and she curses Sleeping Beauty, Aurora, saying that on the eve of her 16th birthday, she would prick her finger on the needle of a spinning wheel and die. Maleficent then, in a very fabulous move, she disappears, goes back to her castle, and the third and final fairy decides, well, what can I do here? And the interesting thing about the fairies is their magic can only do good, can only do things that can help people. They don't have the same type of dark magic that Maleficent has. And Merryweather walks up to the young Aurora, and her blessing is that indeed she will grow up beautiful with a beautiful voice. And on the age of 16, yes, she will prick her finger on a spinning wheel, but she will not die. She will fall asleep. The story of Sleeping Beauty is a powerful metaphor for you and I. You and I have fallen asleep to the truth of who we are. We've done that as individuals and we've done that as a collective. Now, coming back to Sleeping Beauty, what happens from there? The fairies decide that they're going to take Aurora into the woods, into a cottage, and they're going to get rid of their magic and they're going to raise her in safety, so that this curse will not happen. And then the king and the queen go and they burn all the spinning wheels in the entire kingdom. And so she lives for 16 years in this cottage, only knowing this normal little peaceful life with these little funny fairies. And then one day she meets a guy while she's out in the woods, and they fall in love. And then I'm gonna skip ahead in the story. You know what happens there. Aurora ends up being taken back to her parents' house at the castle, and where Maleficent eventually does get her. And you should know to keep in mind that at this point, Aurora is heartbroken. She's heartbroken because she's met this young, beautiful man in the woods, and she kind of like falls for him, falls in love with him. And she's just been told, well, you're a princess and you don't get to choose who you marry. That's already been decided. And actually, we're taking you back to your parents right now, to their castle where you can go live a life there. And this is all overwhelming to Aurora. And she like gets really sad and she's depressed about this whole situation. And I point that out because I think that as I watched the film, that she kind of wanted to prick her finger and fall asleep because her whole world had just been turned upside down. I think on some level, she wanted that to happen. And that's really a metaphor for how you and I do that same thing. Something in life happens, right? We're sad about something, we're angry about something, and that situation becomes like a needle that we prick our finger on and we fall asleep. We choose to fall asleep to the truth of who we are. Maybe you went through a traumatic experience. Maybe you lost your job. Maybe you lost a family member. Maybe you made a big financial mistake. Maybe you did something like that. And so, as a way of coping with that, we have a tendency to just put ourselves asleep, fall asleep to the truth of who we are, and go into our ego because it seems to be a place where we're much safer at times. Now, in the story Sleeping Beauty, uh, she falls asleep. Maleficent's excited, and then the story quickly escalates, and Prince Philip, who turns out to not only be the same guy that she's betrothed to, but also the same guy she met in the woods, comes barging into the castle looking for a Sleeping Beauty to give her the kiss of true love and wake her up, right? And that's always the thing with the Disney princesses. It's always the kiss of true love is what awakens them. Snow White, same thing. And so in the story, there's a big battle where Prince Philip fights Maleficent as she transforms into a dragon. And ultimately, with the help of the three fairies, he is able to defeat Maleficent. And it's really funny. They do things like when arrows are shot at him, remember, they can't use their magic for bad. So they turn those arrows into flowers, and flowers just fall on him. And they help him out. And ultimately, they help him to defeat Maleficent. That's when he kisses Sleeping Beauty. She awakens, and they live happily ever after. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Like, what does this really have to do with saving the world? Course in Miracles tells us that we can look at spiritual truth and treat it like toys if we want to. You can read something like A Course in Miracles. You can take wisdom from the Bible. You can take wisdom from any spiritual material. And if in your mind it's but a toy, it's just something kind of meaningless, then it will remain meaningless for you. But if you're able to see those spiritual principles in the stories with a deeper understanding of what they mean, they become a very powerful force in your life. So when I look at the story of Sleeping Beauty, it's so easy to see myself and see other people I've known. You know, we are raised, in the story Sleeping Beauty is raised in innocence and perfection. She doesn't know that she is a princess, right? You and I don't realize very often that we are a child of God. And, you know, it's like, A Course in Miracles talks about how it's like having my cat is tearing something up. Course in Miracles talks about how, man, I lost my train of thought. Where was I? So things can have, so in this story, it can have the importance you want it to have or not. So in this story, the reason why I wanted to share this one today is that you and I are much like Aurora. We've fallen asleep to the truth of who we are. We went through some situation, some challenge that we kind of wanted to numb out from very often. And so we have a tendency to fall asleep. I was reading an interview with an actress, and she was talking about this movie, specifically Sleeping Beauty. She said she would never let her children watch Sleeping Beauty because it paints a picture of women being a weaker damsel in distress, and the only thing that's ever going to save the princess is a kiss from the prince. And that goes back to my point that if you want it to have no meaning, then it has no meaning. But if we take a deeper look at it, what we realize is that in this story of Sleeping Beauty, you and I are all of the characters. It is really a story of what's happening in our mind at any given time. We've got Aurora. Aurora is the one who has been traumatized, and even though she's been cursed to prick her finger and fall asleep, it really, in the end, when it happens, it is a choice. She chooses to follow the green light in the story and prick her finger and fall asleep because she couldn't deal with what was going on all around her. Maleficent represents the ego part of the mind. She's the evil fairy. She's jealous. She's envious. This is the basically the Wicked Witch of the West archetype. And if you notice something in these stories, the Wicked Witch can never kill the princess. The most the Wicked Witch can ever do is put the princess to sleep. Course in Miracles has a line about how there's only so much we can do evil with the power of our mind, that at some point God is going to have us awaken from what we're doing. And so you can't kill the Son of God. That's the story, that's what Jesus' story taught us, is you can't kill the Son of God, but you can put him to sleep. You can make a person forget who they are. I once read a quote about lion training, that the only way they can train and tame a lion is to make it forget who it is. And that's what the ego does, is it works to make us forget who we are. In the story, she is a princess with a ton of money, with a big castle, gonna have a great life, right? She doesn't know that. You and I are the son of God, the daughter of God, the children of God. And with that, that means that we are heirs to the abundance, the love, the joy, the peace, the creativity, all of that stuff that God would have us have. But we are asleep to that. We forget that. We forget that Course in Miracles tells us that we have an authorship problem. We think that we created ourselves when God actually created us. And if we think that we created ourselves, then we can't help but feel limited in expressing who we are, because we think we created ourselves. And who are we? Like deep down, I mean, that's the feeling. Now back to the story, and what this has to do with saving the world. So in the end of the story, when Prince Philip finds Sleeping Beauty and he's defeated Maleficent, and he walks up to Sleeping Beauty, kisses her on the lips, and she awakens. Now, everyone in this story is an aspect of your consciousness. Everyone in this story is a part of your mind. Aurora is the human you who, after trauma, falls asleep. Maleficent is your ego that seeks to put you to sleep so that you forget who you are. It's the voice of judgment, the voice of criticism, the voice of fear. And then Prince Philip represents the part of your mind that is courageous, that takes action, and that has a kiss. He represents the Prince of Peace, a kiss that has the power to awaken anyone from a deep slumber. His kiss to Sleeping Beauty awakens her from this magical curse that's been placed upon her. So there is power in that kiss when his lips touch her lips. Now let's think about if you and I were in that story and how we might react, right? Because like when I hear people talk about this movie, they're like, "Oh, she just sleeps the whole time. That's all she does. She's just asleep." And if you and I were to walk in that room and after fighting a dragon, and you see this lady is sleeping, I mean, how many of us would be like, "What are you doing? Like, why are you asleep? There's a dragon out here." And that's how we treat each other when we see each other are asleep. When we see someone acting out of their ego, when we see someone in their fear, often when we see someone grieving, and maybe we think that they've been grieving for too long, or maybe when we see somebody who's having financial problems, or we see somebody who's stuck in their life, someone who's maybe is very attacking with you, someone who's very whatever it is, we have a tendency to just be like, "Ew, like, why are you like that?" Not realizing what we're actually interacting with and the opportunity we have in front of us is we have a beautiful prince or a beautiful princess who has simply fallen asleep to the truth of who they are. and that kiss from your lip to their lip, meaning that namaste consciousness, meaning that thinking, speaking way of being that recognizes unity, that recognizes the love within me is the same as the love within you. The love within me honors the love within you. That's what the kiss is. And you and I have an opportunity every time we see someone who is in their fear, who has fallen asleep to who they are. It is an opportunity to awaken them, to be the Prince of Peace in that scenario, to offer the kiss of the divine. And that's why in these stories, there's so much of it being a prince and a princess and a kiss. It doesn't need to be romanticized, but it is a powerful spiritual principle that as we're going through life and we're each asleep to who we are, but we remember, something reminds us, some fairies, aka the Holy Spirit, comes along and reminds you, you are the child of God. You have a natural inheritance of love, of peace, abundance, and joy, and you need to be reminded of that. And our responsibility to each other every time your family member, your friend, your boss, whoever it is, starts to fall asleep to who they are. And by falling asleep to who they are, I mean they give into fear. They set down love and they just give into fear. Those are opportunities to awaken individuals. And every time that you do that, every time you go into a scenario and you bring that namaste consciousness and you walk into that scenario with the love in me honors the love in you, that is a magical kiss that at an energetic level transforms them and reminds them of who they are. I'm sure you've all been in scenarios where you're like, well, I know exactly how they're going to act. I know exactly how this person is going to behave. And you have this expectation of how this person will be. And then they play out that expectation. But we can do the same thing with love. You can think of people with loving thoughts. Think of people the way that God would think of them. Because there's thoughts you have right now about someone in your life, a family member, a friend, a spouse, a kid, whatever it might be. And your way of thinking about that person is 180 degrees away from how God sees that person, from how Jesus would look at that person, how Buddha looks at that person, how Kuan Yin compassionately feels about that person. And that is an opportunity for the divine kiss to come in and create a miracle as we shift our own perception from fear to love. We can't help but have a natural impact on the people around us. And what does this have to do with saving the world? Well, the world is just a collection of individuals, and the same principles that help you awaken, and they're going to have a positive impact on you and your family, your friends, your circle, spreads like wildfire. The more you and I have that namaste consciousness of seeing love, feeling love, being love, and I'm not talking about an emotional love, I'm talking about a spiritual love. This isn't a romantic love, despite the terminology and the story. This is a spiritual love. I realize that you and I are one and the same. And I realize that my need for love and your need for love is the same need for love. And I realize that the only thing that can be missing in any situation is what I'm not giving. And when one by one begin to awaken to the truth of who we are and we begin to help others awaken, it lights the candles of everyone around the world, and it starts to spread and it starts to grow. And this is how we save the world, by having loving thoughts about ourselves and about other people and listening to those loving thoughts. That's what's really important too. It's not just having loving thoughts, but it's listening to the loving thoughts. When they tell you, go help that person, say this to that person, go here, be there, start this nonprofit, start this business that will help or grow people, write this book or write this play that's going to have a positive impact on the world. There's something within you that can be expressed in your personal life that will have a planetary effect. And it really comes down to remembering in every situation, when you stand before someone and there's a conflict there, this prince or this princess has fallen asleep to the truth of who they are. Am I going to join them in their nightmare? Am I going to join them in their fear? Or I'm going to allow the power and the love of God to flow through me and awaken them with a kiss, awaken them through the namaste consciousness of the love within me honors the love within you. And that might seem like a really simple way to save the world, but it is that simple because we're all are constantly impacting each other. The more love I express towards you, the more love you will express towards other people. And that works its way all the way up to the top to include the people in the world who are generating a lot of the challenges that the planet is facing. So we're going to go into our meditation here in a moment. And meditation and prayer, in the story, Sleeping Beauty has fallen asleep to the truth of who she is, and she needs that kiss from the Prince of Peace. Well, this is what we do in meditation. We sit down, we get quiet, we pray, we open our minds, we open our hearts to God to experience the kiss of the divine that sometimes shows up as a deep sense of inner peace, that sometimes shows up as revelation. So we're going to go into our morning meditation. If you feel comfortable, I want you to go ahead and start closing your eyes, turning your attention within. And just allowing your body to relax. The muscles around your face. Relax the muscles around your throat, your neck, and your shoulders. Allowing an energy of relaxation to just spill down your body through all your muscles in your arms, your hands, down through your legs, out through your fingers and toes. Just feel that relaxation across all of your body. And now we're going to bring our awareness to our breathing as we take 3 deep breaths together. In through the nose, out through the mouth, in through the nose, out through the mouth, in through the nose, out through the mouth. And then we let our breathing just return to normal. While we keep our attention on our breathing, we just let thoughts come and go. We don't judge our thoughts. We just let them pass by. Keeping our attention on our breathing. If we hear any sounds, any distractions, we just let them push us deeper into the meditation. turning more deeply within. Just continuing to focus on our breathing. Just staying in this calm, this calm space, where for the moment all is well. And I invite you to call to mind a place where you are not at peace. It can be a place in your individual life where you're not at peace. It could be something in the world, maybe something that's happening. But bring to mind any place where you are mentally, emotionally not at peace. Whatever has come to mind, that will do for now. The Course in Miracles tells us that the only thing that can be missing in any scenario is what we are not giving. Everything is either love or a call for love. So if love is missing in the situation, are you giving love? So with this situation you've called to mind and heart, take a moment and ask yourself, what am I not giving? What am I not giving to myself? What am I not giving or extending to the situation or anybody involved? What am I not giving? And there's no need to feel blame or guilt or anything like that in this scenario. We just want a deeper, more loving perspective of this area where we are not at peace. So, what are you not giving in this situation? And now we're going to take this situation, again, whether it's a personal situation or something worldly, we're going to take this situation and give it over to God. So maybe you see before you an altar. You can place the situation on the altar. Maybe you see light shining down and the hands of God taking the situation. Maybe you hear reassurance, whatever it might be for you. We now mentally, emotionally, spiritually hand the situation over to God. God cannot take from us that which we will not give away. So we give this to him. We would keep it not. And dear God, we are so grateful. We are so grateful for this time together this morning and this opportunity. And we are so grateful for your power, your grace, your mercy as we hand this situation, any situation that troubles our minds, over to you. Dear God, we hand to you this situation where we are not at peace. Dear God, we hand this over to you. We hand over our thoughts about it, our words about it. We hand over our actions. We hand over everyone involved in this situation over to you, recognizing that the thinking of the world is 180 degrees away from your thinking. We invite you in to correct this. We invite you into our minds. We invite you into our hearts. We invite you into this situation that it can be transformed. That the grace and the love of God that flows through us might flow through us with more strength, with more determination, with more conviction. That the light that is yours, God, emanates from us in a way that begins to shift everyone around us from fear to love, creating tiny, tiny, what seems to be tiny miracles all around us, but knowing all miracles are equal. So, dear God, whatever the miracle would be in this situation, we do not know. We just don't know. That is not for us to know. It is for us to hand it over to you, to know a miracle is possible, and act on any spiritual impulses, any miracle impulses when it comes time to have a thought, to say something, to take a specific action. We know that we are divinely guided, guarded, and directed. And that the power of love, the power of God flows through everyone watching here this morning, and from them into everyone in the world around them. And we realize that as we express more of the love of who we are, more of the truth of who we are, it acts just like a magical kiss and awakens one by one everyone all around us. Course in Miracles tells us that, reminds us that in the Bible it says that Adam fell asleep, but nowhere does it say he ever woke up. That is because there has been no mass awakening. But we are ready, dear God. Guide us in this mass awakening. Guide us in our efforts and our abilities to save the world and have a positive impact on both personal and planetary awakening. And we say together, Amen. So as you feel comfortable, go ahead and bring your awareness back to the room you're in. Maybe wiggle your toes, move around in your seat. And when you're ready, open your eyes. So I appreciate you showing up for today's talk and meditation. All of this gets saved to YouTube and Facebook. So if you find you want to come back and maybe listen to this meditation again or listen to the talk, be sure to do so. So a couple of things I want to say before we go. As you all know, we are a nonprofit with a pending 501c3. And we exist because of your generous donations. Because of those donations, we're able to have a streaming service, to have a website. We're able to offer discounted and free services and scholarship opportunities for people who can't afford our classes or counseling or anything like that. So I just want to say first that I'm very grateful for the support that we've had the past several months, both the financial support, but also the support in all the different ways you guys have supported this ministry, liking, commenting, sharing, talking to me about how this might be able to better serve you and other people. So I really appreciate all of that. I bring up donations today because I do want to let you know that we have a GoFundMe going on right now. So with documentation fees and all the stuff that it takes to become a real 501c3 and a real nonprofit, going to cost about like $1,100. We've raised $325 of that already since we started that this week. So on our Facebook page, you'll find information on how to make a donation to our GoFundMe to help us get to that nonprofit status. So if you want to do that, be sure to do that. We're going to be doing this the next 60 days to raise that money, and hopefully it can be a real nonprofit here by the summer, which is really going to help us guys in a lot of different ways. It's going to help your donations be tax write-offs. It's going to help us with grants, and it's going to help us with just a variety of things we need to function as like a real nonprofit. Also, if you do want to get more information about donations or the center, you can go over to loveisgreaterthanfear.org. Over there, you'll find information about donations. You'll also find our prayer ministry. We've got 2 ongoing classes right now. You'll find that as well. If you're not already on the email list, head over to loveisgreaterthanfear.org right now and join the email list. That way you can stay up to date with everything that we are doing. So, super excited about next Sunday. I've got a great topic in mind for the month of April. I'll email you what that is here in a few days, but I've got something really exciting prepared for you guys next Sunday. So enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will see you guys in a week. Bye.